Hello, today we're going to be talking about emotional self-awareness. There is a bias against emotions in Western culture. So, even going back to our oldest philosophy, we see Socrates saying, Know thyself. Uh, Notice that he doesn't say, Feel thyself, he says, Know thyself. Likewise, much later, Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. He didn't say, I feel, therefore I am. He didn't say, I love, therefore I am. He defined humanness, existence, with thought, with logic, with reason, with thinking, right? And that has stayed a through line through Western philosophy that we tend to value logic and reason and ration to the detriment of our emotional experience.
We also see this bias against emotions in popular media in the United States. So, for example, Clint Eastwood, like back in the late 60s, early 70s, was the ideal of masculinity, right? He was in all these spaghetti westerns, and the plot of all of his movies are essentially the same. He's this dude who his entire family gets murdered, and he has no way of dealing with the emotional trauma like that. So he completely disconnects from society, wanders the world alone, picking fights with people and murdering them. He always has a love interest he falls in love with in the movie, but then he rides away at the end and leaves her because he can't handle the intimacy and the vulnerability of it. And that is supposed to be the masculine ideal of how you deal with emotions, right? I hear people sometimes talk about, the 50s and the 60s, like back when men were men and they didn't talk about their emotions. But if you look back at that time period, there's a really high level of both spousal abuse and alcohol abuse. So it's not that there were these like manly men in the 50s and 60s that knew how to keep their emotions in check in a really healthy way. It's that these men would go to work and be stressed out and not know how to deal with it, and they would go home and get drunk and beat their wives. And hopefully, we can all agree that that is probably not the best way to handle your emotions in a healthy way. And we need to be aware of, to connect to regulate our emotions for our own well-being and for the well-being of the people around us, the people we work with, the people that we have relationships with.
You should care about your emotions, and I'll give you two reasons why. The first is that emotions are a source of information. So, just like sight, sound, smell, touch, taste gives us information about our physical environment, our emotions give us information about our social environment and about our psychological environment. So, it is meaningful information that helps us navigate the world successfully and make important decisions. The other reason you should care about emotions is because they emotional awareness will make you a better person. That being aware of your own emotions allows you to deal with them in a healthier way. It improves your interactions with other people. Being aware of other people's emotions allows you to build empathy, connect to other people, deal with them as a human being and not just an employee, a coworker, a classmate. So, yes, emotional awareness will make you a better worker, it'll make you a better leader, but it will also just make you a better person. Today, we're going to talk about four aspects of emotional awareness. We're going to talk about building an emotional vocabulary, learning to recognize emotions, checking in on yourself throughout the day, and keeping an emotional diary.